of human intelligence. I mean, we have our geniuses as well as our dunces and everything in between. You know, as Chris Rock once said, you have your A grade students, you have your D grade students, and you have the kids in the middle. You know, or as or maybe as George Carlin said, you have kids are like any group of people. You get a few winners, a whole lot of losers. But that actually probably holds a bit more sway, because more and more these days people tend to be slipping into the lower end of the cerebral spectrum of intellect, and also quite frustratingly shorter and shorter attention spans. I mean, certainly as an activist, that really gets my goat sometimes when I encounter someone with a really short attention span, and I tend to be very long-winded. But I will state exclusively that this has to do with our current educational system, or as I call it in part, the educational system. The established institutions of culture, media, social etiquette and subculture, all the way up to things like the fields of economics. You know, no one is born stupid per se. Granted, there are anomalous examples of people born with cognitive deficiencies, but that has a root as well. I mean, genes do not mutate in a certain way to produce a dumb person. There's always an environmental element in there somewhere that produces that deficiency somewhere along the line. You know, what we do in our lives has measurable knock-on effects for our children, and that's provable. So I think it's fair to say that in our current model, it's unfortunately good for people to be complete dunderheads, because dunderheads don't question their reality, and as such don't even feel inclined to want better from this oppressive system. In fact, whether they even recognize the oppressive nature of the system or not, they're conditioned to like it. You know, as George Carlin said when, you know, talking about the owners of the US, he said that they don't want a population of citizens capable of critical thinking. They don't want well-informed, well-educated people capable of critical thinking. They're not interested in that. That doesn't help them. That's against their interest. They don't want people to sit around the kitchen table and figure out how badly they're getting fucked by a system that threw them overboard 30 fucking years ago. They don't want that. You know what they want? They want obedient workers. People who are just smart enough to run the machines and do the paperwork, and just dumb enough to passively accept all these increasingly shittier jobs. But yeah, that's enough of how stupidity is created in our current system. So move on to more relevant parts of your question. How would said people understand the RBE, you ask? Well, put simply, they can understand the basics. I mean, I suppose if you need to put it in a very pedestrian way, in a very early primary school way, even. I can give you a foundation in a numbered list. I'll tell you what. I'll give you first a list of the basics of how our current system functions, then a list of how an RBE functions. Okay, first off, our current system. Number one, the things we need to keep on living, such as food, water, and so on, are only given to us when we swap them for money. Number two, people have to work or ask the people who run the country for that money, so they can get those things. Number three, not everyone is given that money, or they don't get enough, so a lot of people go without, and so they starve to death. Number four, there are a very small number of people who have and keep most of the money for themselves. Number five, money only leads to people wanting more money, because we are told that the more money you have, the better you are. This is called social stratification. Number six, the amount of money there is has a limit, so the more you have, the less everyone else has. Number 7. The people who want money the most will do anything they can to get more. A lot of times this means even if it hurts people, hurts the planet, or steals from other people. Number 8. Those people who have the most money are able to get away with the nasty things they do. Number 9. The money that we see as coins and notes is only a very, very small amount of what money there actually is. All the rest is made up. Number 10. Money itself isn't even real. When new money is made, it's created out of thin air. This is because most money is made and moved around on computers, and so is nothing more than numbers on a screen. This is called fractional reserve banking. Number 11. When money is made, the money makers demand the money back eventually with a little extra money on top. This is called compound interest. Number 12. The more money that's made, the less it's worth. This is called inflation. Number 13. What keeps the money system going is money always going round and round from person to person all the time. This means that people in general have to always be spending money. This generally means buying things. It's like the blood vessels in your body. If the flow stops or slows down too much, your body doesn't get part of what it needs and you die. This is called cyclical consumption. Number 14. Because money needs to keep moving, the stuff we have has to be made bad so that it breaks easily and quickly, or gets old quickly so that you have to spend more money to get yet another one. This is called planned, perceived, and intrinsic obsolescence. Number 15. The money system not only has to keep going, but it needs to go faster and faster all the time, using up all the stuff on the planet that we use to make all of our stuff, until there is nothing left. This is called economic growth. Number 16. The making and use of machines that make our lives easier and better are not good for the money system, because it's not machines doing work that keeps money moving. It's humans doing work, and the money they are given for that work that keeps money moving. But because using a machine that is better and faster, they are put to work anyway, and the human being that did that job can't do it anymore. This means that person isn't getting the money anymore, and they can't do their part as much to keep money moving. This is called technological unemployment. And number 17, with all this said, the system that we live in right now has to keep growing and growing and growing. This is called cancer. Now, moving on to how an RBE functions. Number 1, machines make and give us food, water, clothes, and everything we need, so money isn't needed anymore. Number 2, machines do the hard, boring, and dangerous jobs because they are faster and better, but we will do the jobs that machines can't do if we want to. Number 3, we do what we do not for money or fame or rewards, but just for the very reward of doing it, because it feels good to do that. Number 4, everyone on the planet is free to do what they want to do and be what they want to be. Number 5, we know that we don't have endless amounts of everything, so we make sure we don't use it all up, and where we can, we look for other and better materials to do things. Number 6, we learn that because we don't have endless amounts of things, it's much better that we should share and not keep lots of things just to ourselves. Number 7, we use what we know, what we can prove, and what we can do again and again with the same result as a way of deciding things. Number 8. We live in a world where everything is always changing, so we do the same and keep making things better. Number 9. We know that we're all connected on this planet as one big family, also known as the circle of life. So hurting someone or something else means you're hurting yourself, so we learn that we shouldn't do that. And number 10, we learn to love and love to learn. And even though we don't have to, we learn to want to make things better for society, because what we do to improve the system also comes back to us and improves our lives as well. So that's it for the numbered list that you got there. Overall, I can understand the confusion when it comes to people who just don't or even can't get it, but that's not really a grave concern. I mean, granted, there has through history been a great deal of destruction, disruption and chaos that has been caused by the cerebrally insufficient, but only really when there is enough of them, either that or groups of them under orders from intelligent but aberrated individuals. You know, there are many, many ways to deal with such individuals when it comes to our self-defense. You know, I mean, the police are already implementing means of non-lethal weapons, you know, but that would probably be a last resort. I mean, one of the examples given by, I think it was Peter Joseph or Neil Kiernan from V Radio. Actually, I think it might have been Jacques Fresco who originally said that, but the idea is that we could preempt the attack of a group of individuals who are intent on causing damage or loss to a sustainable city system by simply bombing them with food or resources. Yeah, I mean, I always found that idea to be, you know, a funny but also completely logical idea. I mean, kind of like the Bill Hicks quote when he says that, everyone got boners over the technology, you know, watching missiles fly down air vents, but couldn't we feasibly use that same technology to shoot food at hungry people? But the principle is the same here. Instead of responding to aggression with more aggression, we simply give them what they need. Besides some severely twisted reason to just want to destroy something for the sake of destroying it, what would be the reason for people wanting to attack an RBE city? Because we would be living well, and they, having chosen not to live this way for whatever reason, are going without? So we simply give them what they need, and chances are they won't ignore the fact that their needs have been provided for by our generosity, you know, and they will either cease their attack and take advantage of what we can provide for them, or they will, and in a strange way, I would love to be there for this, but they will approach the city peacefully and just say, you know, I'm sorry, we've been a bunch of prats. Can we come in? And do you know what our response will be? Of course, come right in. But anyway, question 6. The questions people tend to have about the Zeitgeist movement revolve around the plan of implementation and operation of an RBE. It is becoming clear that there is no plan. Until there is one, there will be nothing to discuss. Okay, well, I have taken great care and time to answer this in my previous Q&A shows, so if you want to know what I've said about it, go back to what I've said in previous shows. You know, I can provide the answers people ask for. The formality I'm aware of is the fact that it's impossible to convince someone who does not want to see the validity and feasibility of an RBE to see the validity and feasibility of an RBE. Yeah, I mean, but as for the transition plan part of your question, as I've stated in previous podcasts, none of us are prophets, and as such, none of us can lay out a concrete transition plan. We have to do this sort of thing on the fly, as it were. You know, everything is emergent, so we can't lay down a transition plan. If you wish for a concrete transition plan to be laid down and stringently followed, then I'm sorry, you're going to be disappointed. Anyway, question 7. In addition to the ongoing activism and spreading of awareness, what specific